is invading into Turkey Day, and a lot of people that are boycotting it, and we're gonna see why they're boycotting it and what you can do about it. So, hey, this is the vlog section, the VLOG section. So, welcome to the vlog over on Geekazine. This is where I just kind of tell everybody what's going on in the world, kind of keep it long, so when the show starts, it's a little bit shorter, and let everybody know what's going on there. First of all, hey, the first snowstorm of the season happened. We had some. In fact, it's kind of snowing right now, but it's probably not going to be that bad. It's just little flurries and stuff like that. So, but the first snow of this season happened, and I'm trying to show you this picture, but it's not being. The heck's going on? Let it do it. No, really, I want you to do it. Crazy little computer. Anyway, so yeah, the first snowstorm of the season happened. We had a couple inches of snow, so I got to shovel the snow. And actually, during this week in Google Glass, I got to show you the actual me shoveling the snow. But this is what it looked like outside. Probably around 9-10 o'clock in the morning after the snow subsided, moved on. So as you can see, my truck is a little bit under the snow, but since then shoveled it all out and cleaned off the windows. It's looking good now, so unless the flurries actually put some accumulation on. But hey, that's what happens when you live in Wisconsin. It does that. It does that. So yeah, I did do some shoveling, and of course you can check that out on the YouTube channel and go from there. TPN happening. TPN, for those of you who don't know, we go out to CES every single year, and we cover it. We live broadcast, we do what I'm doing right now, live stream to you guys, and say hi and do interviews, one-on-one interviews, product reviews, and everything else. We set up a big booth. Takes a lot of money, so that's why we created a crowdfund, and we're less than 30 days on it. And we're not doing too good on the numbers. We got some money, and that's great. We've got a couple people now covered. I actually separated the YouTube pages because I've now put Geekazine on Google Plus, and so YouTube Geekazine. So Jeffrey Powers YouTube, it's Mr. Jeff Powers. I don't know, kind of weird, but I couldn't get Jeffrey Powers. That just didn't work. So anyway, Mr. Jeff Powers, youtube.com/Mr. Jeff Powers, and you can check that out. And of course, I'll have the links in the show notes, which you can go over to geekazine.com and check it out. Once the show's posted, then the show notes get posted as well. Last night, I did This Week in Google Glass with Luke Wallace. We had a great show. We talked about the deaf using glass. We talked about the GDK coming out. We talked about this Kickstarter that gives you a remote control for your Google Glass, which is great for presentations and stuff like that. And I decided, well, let's do it at Google Hangout. Now, there's two parts to this. The first part is as of last night, I was still on Wirecast. Today, Wirecast 2.6.3 came out, so I could actually put it onto my Mavericks. So far, so good, doing well. We've got some great frame rates here. We got some decent CPU. I'm not ready. I personally don't have the cash to update to the next version of Wirecast, which is about $150. And I've got to get a new iPad. I've got to get a new phone, which I'll talk about in a second here. But so I'm I have to do with this version of Wirecast for now until I can figure out because the CES is the big money consumer, and I want to make sure that I have money that will still pay my bills down the line, as well as be able to go to the events so I can show you what's going on there. So basically you gotta bide your cash sometimes. And there's so many companies that come out and say, "Oh yeah, this is new, and then you got software which is like $300, $400, $500. Wirecast is a $500 piece of software, and they got an upgrade, and the upgrade's like $150. And I'm like, I need it. I really need it so I can do some videos on it. But on the other hand, I really don't have $150 to spend on it. So now I've got to put this into my brain to put it into a budget so I can actually buy the new version of Wirecast. So it's just crazy. And I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Don't get me wrong. If you do want to help, you can always PayPal me at geekazine@gmail.com. Think magazine, put in a geek, geekazine@gmail.com. And that money, and just say this is for Wirecast, and that money will go towards the upgrade to Wirecast, so I can continue to do the live version. Because apparently the new version of Wirecast is going to work a lot better, even on this Mac, which also needs to be upgraded. But, that's like a $4,000 upgrade. And I'll get to it, but it's just going to take a little bit of time for me. So, all right. So yeah, we did the Hangout, and I did it on the old version, the previous version before Mavericks, which meant I basically had to shut off this machine, connect up to the external hard drive, and then run Mountain Lion on the external drive through FireWire connection, which kind of worked, but it showed some problems. Well, I decided to do a Hangout rather than go through Wirecast to actually do the recording. One, because it gave us a live time for people to watch, and two, it was supposed to be a lot easier, and I thought it'd be a lot easier, but I guess that wasn't the case. I got done with it and waited for it to upload to Google. Of course, you got to wait about an hour because it uploads to Google, and then it converts the 720 version to Google, and then that all loads up, and then you download it from there. I chop out what I need to, because halfway through it actually disconnected, and I had to reconnect the Hangout. Now, the cool thing is it didn't stop the broadcast. It kept the broadcast going. But there was in between where it said, "We'll be right back." And I had to chop that out. So I put it into my video editor, and of course I wanted to do some adjustments. And the video editor just went hog wild. It just would not convert the video. And this is a video that Google kind of ended up processing. So it had a hard time with it. And so there was problems left and right. And the biggest problem was I was talking through my microphone, and it was going through Luke's speakers into his microphone. So every time I talked, there was this echo, because it replayed what I was saying through his microphone. And of course, when he talked, it sounded great because he was on studio. So it was not the best situation that happened, but we did get an episode out, and I'm going to really have to think on how we do Hangouts, because I don't like that at all. Didn't like that way at all. So anyway, let's move on from there to you can check it out this week in GoogleGlass.com. It's perfectly, you can hear everything. It doesn't sound horrible. You just have to deal with the me echoing type sound. And at first I thought, I was like, oh, did I have all my echo on my mixing board turned up? And that wasn't the case. So I don't know. It happens, and we just strive to do a better one next week. Not a great show, but not a great episode. Great show. Very great show. And very great episode. You got to listen to it. You got to watch it. But it happens. So, oh, hey, yeah, I told you last week that I'm a help out mentor. Get help with podcasting, get help with Wirecast. I put a link into the show notes. And let me show you that. Excuse me, right now. You can go over and you can get help with Wirecast. You can get help with Podcast Coach. Now, yes, there is a price on that, because I need to make some cash as I do this stuff. But first 15 minutes, if you're a brand new person, got one question, first 15 minutes, absolutely free. And they've shown me how to do that so you don't get charged for the first 15 minutes. But I am available. I'm going to try and be available a little bit today. I will be available for the morning tomorrow, and then, of course, she didn't say a word. It was breast cancer, and so every morning she just wrapped it up in a bandage and kept on with her day with the pain and everything. It was crazy. So, we went to her funeral last Wednesday, and just to hear what she did, because she was always a giving person. And what she did was just amazing. And I'm surprised she didn't want to go to the doctor. And my Uncle Ray, he's kind of the same way. He's I guess he's suffering a little bit of dementia now. And he doesn't want to go to the doctor. He doesn't want to go to the dentist. He's a farmer. Farmhands, they he wants to tend to his cows, and it's like you got to take care of yourself first, and that's the most important thing. So go get yourself checked out. Of course, it is Movember, where everybody's growing mustaches for prostate cancer. My friend Wesley has done a video I posted up on Twitter about that, about his dad who had early signs of prostate cancer, and he got that taken care of, and he's still alive today. So, and I posted that up on Twitter. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can see that again. But wow, it's just amazing. Then the other thing, it's sending information to YouTube. And look, everything's looking good, but I'm looking at the time, and it just all of a sudden it just went from 3 minutes to 15 seconds. So interesting. I'm just definitely going to have to get Wirecast 5 soon. But anyway, so that does it for the vlog section. I'm slow on my sign language. Vlog section. So if you want to check that out, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Geek Smack billboard, which is, and then of course that bring into the regular show. So thanks a lot for watching this part. I'm glad you're with me. Just stick around and sit back and relax. We're going to talk some tech news, and of course I'm going to talk about Black Friday now creeping into Thursday, Turkey Day. And are you going to be going to the stores on Turkey Day, or do you just have way too much to do? That's what we're going to talk about next. You're watching Geek Smack. This is episode number 283. Black Friday from your underwear. Better than doing it on Thursday. Let's get started.
This is the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like some of these retailers are smacking the turkey out of Turkey Day because they want to run their Black Thursday deals, and a lot of us don't want to. A lot of us are going to be kind of gone, kind of helping with the family, doing stuff with the family, playing football, watching football. We don't want to do it with deals. I don't know. We're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about how Yahoo is changing up their game, and Katie Couric's going to Yahoo, how the trolls win the Newegg patent, what that means to you when it comes to online retail. 23andMe versus the FDA, it's very interesting. And of course, child porn busted. Google busted a big child porn on Picasso, which is really cool, and a whole bunch more. This is Geek Smack, episode number 283. For November 26th, 2013. Let's get the smack out and go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, welcome to Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like a gobble 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 and a gobble gobble goo. What does the turkey say? Gobble 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 and a gobble gobble goo. That's what the turkey says. I do not lie. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. If this is the first time you've come to the show, well, thank you very, very much for coming to the show. I really appreciate it. We do this show every single Tuesday for Wednesday consumption. We've done this for the last 6 years. And I talk about it, like I said, on the vlog section. So you can go to youtube.com/Geekazine to find out that part. I'm a help out mentor over at helpouts.google.com. If you need help with podcasting, if you need help with Wirecast, I am here. Speaking of Wirecast, they just updated 4.3.1 to 4.3.2. If basically I had to actually use an external drive and load up another version of Mountain Lion so I could run Wirecast, and that caused all these problems. But now I'm back on the native machine. I gotta update to 5, but that's a $150 upgrade, and I'm trying to buy an iPad and a new phone and everything, and of course the trip to CES. I'm just going to be really taxed on my cash, so I don't know if I'll be able to do that just yet. If you want to help, you can. Geekazine@gmail.com is my PayPal address. You can always donate money there. And of course, finally, I sent out shout outs to my Aunt Pat and my Uncle Ed, who all both passed away in the last couple of weeks. Went to the funeral last week for my Aunt Pat. My Uncle Ed's funeral is going to be next week, and of course, I'll be going to that as well. So, rest in peace, you guys. It's family, and that's the most important thing, especially during these holiday times. So let's get into your. So with all that said, let's get into your Tech Smack for this week. This episode of Tech Smack is brought to you by a new sponsor, Carbonite.com. They've been on the show before. We'd like to thank them back. Carbonite.com, survive the holidays. And actually, one of the things is you might be getting a brand new laptop, you might be getting a brand new iPad or a brand new whatever come these holidays, and you'll need to back up that old computer so you can get everything over to the new computer. Carbonite does that. Not only backs it up, but you can also then go to another computer, call up on Carbonite and say, hey, downloaded all of this brand new computer, and go from there. It helps with disaster. It helps with fires. If you have a fire, if you have a flood, if you damage your computer beyond repair, and I've seen it so many times as an IT thing, to this world that ever increasing in technology and bandwidth and internet. So Yahoo, I think, for all the years that I complain about Yahoo not being on track, I like this track that they're starting to be on, because if they become a place that you go for news, like a CNN or something like that, except on the internet, if they can kind of tackle that whole area. Let's move on from here. This is a very, very bad situation. We talk about patent trolls all the time. And there was this one patent troll that was basically going after Amazon, Microsoft, and, these big companies. They just go, okay, there's a troll. Okay, pay them. We don't want to deal with that. But Newegg got hit with this patent troll over a specific patent that was done before the internet was even the internet. And so Newegg said, no, we're going to attack this. And unfortunately, 9 hours ago, the court case concluded continually to this patent troll as they go. So it's not over. I'm hoping that Newegg will take it past the East Texas courts, which is usually where patent trolls win a lot, and we'll see what happens there. We'll keep you appraised of the situation, but not too good. If you want to read more, go over to Geekazine.com. All right, moving on from here, Apple's reportedly getting ready for a 12.9-inch iPad. Now, you're thinking to yourself, would I use a 12.9-inch iPad? Well, maybe not you, maybe not me, but a company that's using an iPad as a cash register, possibly. A company that's putting iPads on the wall and making them into kiosks, maybe. Small TVs, you could actually get a 12.9-inch TV off of an iPad at a regular store. Yahoo's gearing up for their news section with Katie Couric. So you're gonna watch more stuff on your tablets, and tablets are gonna be all the rage. I know that there's gonna be some great deals. Apple just announced their deals, but they didn't say what the prices are for their iPads and stuff like that. Last year was kind of bad. $40 off for an iPad and $100 off for a MacBook Pro or something like that. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. But a 12.9-inch iPad would be great for businesses, for companies that don't use an iPad like you or I would use an iPad. And I think that's where they're going there. But, there's always the one person or a couple people like 23andme.com. Well, the FDA realized that, they didn't get approval for this. So they want to make sure that everything is on the up and up, and they want to approve it. But right now, they've basically said this is generic testing. This doesn't prove anything, and until we give you the okay to say that your test processes are in line to what we believe is possible. Because you never know. I mean, How do they handle these swabs? Could it be a mix up? Could all of a sudden you find out your heritage was, I don't know, a completely different race? Yeah, there's something. Wojcicki co-founded the company in 2006, and of course her husband's Sergey Brin. And so they're saying, hey, we do everything we can to keep these tests on the up and up. But basically, the Food and Drug Administration has to go in there and they have to test it and they have to get their seal of approval. And I think if they really want to get this done, they need to do this. They need to go to the FDA and get it done. Of course, I'm guessing that it's not going to be an easy process. It'll probably be a couple of years out. But I'd rather wait a couple years and have the FDA approval than just send them my stuff and say, hey, what's wrong with me and what's wrong with my heritage. So anything that they can do, your doctor can do better. It's as simple as that. If you need to send, and I know that there's some people, adopted people, or they didn't know their parents or whatever, they want to find out what their heritage is like and stuff like that. But once again, you go to the right place, they do the right tests, you're going to find that stuff out. And I don't know if you need anything like 23andMe, $100. I don't know. It's kind of convenience, but I don't know. I'd rather have my doctor do that for me. So if you want to read more on that, go over to CNN.com for that article. So got a couple people watching on the live show. Thank you very much. Once again, you go over to Geekazine.com on the day. You can actually watch it live as we go. Let's move on from here. Intel has talking about some new in a server room somewhere in, I don't know, Provo, Utah, Iowa, New Mexico, Arizona, some of these places. And that's where your data is sitting, in one of those places. And so they need to work on those servers too. So they work back and forth. But the bottom line is, for consumers, they're going to be focusing on consumer products a little bit more, and of course that 14 nanometer process. Excuse me. If you want to read more on that, go over to PCMag.com. Very interesting article there. All right. Congratulations to Google for busting this child pornographer. However, some of the people are saying, they kind of, they're kind of stepping over some boundaries doing that. And here's the article. It's over on TheVerge.com. And basically, Google found a guy who was actually using a Picasa library, his Picasa library, to put on child pornography. And so Google, who's been working on this anti-child porn efforts, basically said, if you've got child porn on your Picasa or anything like that, we're gonna find it and we're gonna go after you. And it's like we talked about it last week. It's an effort between Google and Microsoft. They and I totally agree with them. However, the way that they get to there invades privacy, and that's, it's a very fine line, a very tightrope walky line that we have to deal with, because, well, personally, me, I don't care if Google wants to search all my photos, go for it. And do I have something that's questionable? Maybe some nudity? I don't know. I used to collect pictures when I was younger, and had that folder that had all the images. And guy, that's how it works. So if that got into Picasa, hey, I try not to. I don't do that type of stuff anymore. But some people do more. If you watched, was it Don John, that movie that just came out a couple weeks ago? It was about a guy who loves this porn. A part of it was about that, and of course going on a relationship with a guy that loves porn. So for some people that's great, as long as it's not child pornography. So it's like I said, it's a little bit of one and a little bit of the other. In the grand scheme of things, I would rather have Google basically says, this phone is locked and cannot do that. And it's like, so I needed to make a phone call, so I pulled out the phone and I hit the call button and then found the number and made the call. But, technically that is illegal too. So cops are really trying to track and crack down on texters because I've seen it. You're driving down the highway and you look to your right and there's somebody just doing this as they're driving. It's not like those old days where we had that tactile feel and I could actually just do the texting down here, not even look at the phone while I was doing it. But some people are still doing that and they're looking down at their phones and it's just not right. So anyway, in New York, they're trying something different with SUVs, getting the cops above your sight line on the car. So when they pass by you, cop looks over and it's like, oh, hey, you're texting while driving. Let's stop you. Because we don't want you getting in an accident. I don't know. It's pretty cool. But, you're buying these big vehicles, big bulky vehicles that waste a lot of gas. Hopefully they're getting diesel vehicles, so at least they're running cleaner in the world. So they're calling it the site Concealed Identity Traffic Enforcement, and they're going times where we were trying to get on Twitter to find out what Miley Cyrus was doing, what Lady Gaga was doing, and of course we couldn't get onto the page, and we saw that image, the whale. Now in these times with better servers and more infrastructure, we get less overcapacity issues from Twitter. So it's time to say goodbye to the fail whale. Let's bow our heads in moment of silence to the fail whale. And that does it for the Tech Smack version of Geek Smack. We're going to get into the Geek Smack version in a second here. Of course, if you have any questions, any comments, comment over on Geekazine is the Twitter handle, geekazine@gmail.com. And of course, the hotline is 608-205-4378. We're going to be right back with some Geek Smack, and then we're going to talk about Black Friday. It's a coming, and it's coming earlier this year. And of course, this part of the show is brought to you by my other website, Day in Tech History, over at www.dayintechhistory. I talked a little bit about it at the first part of the show. Basically, November 26th of 2001, Intel looked at what was called terahertz. Of course, the desktop wars was really starting to go between AMD and Intel, and they needed the new direction, so they decided to go into terahertz because new processors, new transistors, that worked of 2015. We got a ways to go. So check it out over at www.dayintechhistory.com. Dayintechhistory.com. All right, let's move on from here. Let's go back into the show. We're over at Apple Insider. Apple has filed a patent for a Touch ID sensor, basically the touch the fingerprint sensor that you get in an Apple 5S. They've got the patent filed. That's it. They haven't gotten approved yet. That could take a few months. It could take a couple of years. So, but right now Apple's got the patent in for this sensor, which they can then license out to other people as they go. A nice patent, a great patent. I totally understand it, and I don't think Apple will have a problem getting that sensor unless a troll steps in. So we'll see what happens. If you want to read more, go over to geekazine.com, and of course there will be a link to the show notes on where you can find that article. Speaking of phones, we talking about Moore's Law and faster, better phones. One of the other things about smartphones is when you get a smartphone, it's mostly like $99, $199, but then you get it stolen like I did. You get it, they lost or broken or something like that. You got to buy a brand new smartphone. That $99 to $199 becomes $599 to $800. Well, Google's been trying their best to actually change that a little bit. The Nexus 5, for example, is $329 if you buy it from Google for a 16 gigabyte phone. Not all of us, we want smartphones, but not all of us need the latest and greatest and most popular. So, Motorola came out with the Moto G. Their Moto X been a big hit. You can get a customized color and everything like that. So they said, well, let's put out the Moto G, and let's put it for $179. Not $179 with 2-year contract, $179. Now, what you get with this Moto G is an 8 gigabyte smartphone. You can upgrade to 16 gigabytes. I think it's like 190. Consumerist LG. If you bought a smart TV from LG, you might have gone in and said, hey, I don't want you to send any information to LG. Well, apparently there was a glitch inside of the TVs that caused that to happen. So your information got sent to LG. And it wasn't like credit card information or anything like that. It was basically watching habits. It went a little bit too far as to the point where you could plug in a USB drive and it would actually read the contents and then send the content files, not the actual files themselves, but the file names to LG. And of course, what that would do is it would run this algorithm and say, okay, you want to see this type of ad. You just went shopping on this website. We're going to start showing you ads for these websites. Just like with your laptop, if you I look up, like for instance, when I booked my travel for CES, all of a sudden I get these ads for Las Vegas. I get these ads for travel and stuff like that, and they go around until I make another big search and go from there. So, but anyway, LG has admitted to it, and they said there's going to be some firmware updates on the way, and when that happens, then you'll be able to block it. But they're not doing anything with the information that they're collecting right now. So I don't know, good or bad. If anything, if you're really concerned about it, there's ways to block it. There's some websites that you can block on your router. And I did an article that talked about those. S56. It's this 8th generation iPhone that comes out next year with possibly the ability to do what a Litro camera can do now and go from there. Now, I don't know if that means that Litro is going to have to start paying into Apple or something like that if the technologies are simple or similar, but we'll see what happens there. But right now, it's one of 3 patents that Steve Jobs says that he wanted to reinvent. The first one was photography, next one was television, and then textbooks. Well, it's not going to happen with television because Apple just said we're backing away on television for now. Doesn't mean that it's going to change. And of course, he does have a good line on textbooks, if you think about it. It's between him and Kindle and the Kindle Paperwhite. But interesting stuff. Of course, if you have any, if you wanted to read out more, go over to 95Mac. We'll have the link into the show notes. Happy birthday to Ford Mustang. I've been doing a lot of Ford Mustang drives, and I've really been enjoying it. Of course, the latest one we have up on Geekazine of the 2014 Ford Mustang. 2015 Ford Mustang is supposed to be big and happy. And this is over on All Things D here. $300 Bluetooth basketball that sends information to your phone, tells you what you did, tells you how you worked it, how your arcs were, and how you threw the ball, how you passed the ball, and stuff like that. So you can do better in playing basketball. Pretty interesting stuff. And of course, the app is called the 9450 mobile app to let you go head-to-head with friends on the court and record stats like shot release and arc and so much. More than just 750 channels that the Roku can offer that gives you all that content. Each channel can have sub-channels in it, so you can have tens of thousands of hours of video watching and game playing out of your Roku. And prices only start at $49.99. Of course, the Roku 3 for $99.99, and of course you can get the games, you get the game remote as well, and then the privacy mode where you can plug in your headphones right in the remote. That's perfect for when your partner is sleeping, but you want to watch something on TV. Lots of great stuff from Angry Birds to Amazon to Hulu, and of course the Tech Podcast channel. Let me show you this really quick. This is how you get to some of the content from Geekazine on the Tech Podcast channel. You just go into the Tech Podcast video, and you're going to go into Tech News, and you're going to find like the special events, iPad 365, Geek Smack, and a whole bunch more. A lot of other Tech Podcast shows right on that Roku for you, right at your fingertips, right through the remote. And then, of course, you can get your Netflix, you can get your Amazon, you can get your Hulu just as easy, and many more channels. PBS, we've got Redbox Instant, TV Guide, Sci-Fi Channel, and much more. Check it out. It's all over at Roku. Remember, geekazine.com/Roku. Of course, that helps me keep the lights on for all my shows. Thank you very much. And go over where streaming is made simple. Last year, you got up early on a Thursday to do one thing and one thing only. Put that bird in the oven. Then it was back to bed as the turkey started cooking. On Friday, you then got up from your tryptophan-induced sleep to go holiday shopping. This year, you have to choose one or the other, as retailers are invading the holiday. Now, I ask you, is that right? Retailers like Kohl's, like Kmart, and more are opening their doors on Thursday morning and afternoon for better deals, to give their deals then. Now, if you want to jump on the holiday season because numbers indicate this year is not fruitful as last, that's what they're working on, and that's what they're doing. So each of the year, the stores basically seem to creep a little bit closer to doing this. Last year, they opened their stores right after a dinner time, like 8 o'clock, and there. You can also choose any of the affiliate links so I can keep this show going for you. And I call my holiday present to all of you that you can enjoy all year round. Whether you get up at 7 a.m. to baste this turkey or 7 a.m. to stand in line for that $50 Android tablet that's probably not even going to be worth $50, I hope you do enjoy the holiday season, and it is a safe and fun one. So are you planning to be in line at 7 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning? You got to remember, it's not going to be an in and out type thing, because usually Black Friday deals, they kind of take, if I remember correctly, I stood in line one year where it's like at 4 o'clock in the morning, they handed out numbers, and then we had to go in line, and then we had to wait in line to actually check out at the end. So literally it actually took about 3-4 hours to get through that and get all the deals that we needed. So is that going to be your plan for Thanksgiving, or are you just kind of completely going to pass by it? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com. And the hotline is 608-205-4378. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, geeks of all ages, that does it for this episode of Geek Smack. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thank you very much for coming to the show. If you have any questions, like I said, give me a call, give me an email, give me a tweet, and let's talk from there. Like I said, I'm doing some podcast coaching, so if you're starting your own podcast, let me know, and we'll get you the tools for the trade and get you going with your podcast stuff. If you need help with Wirecast, especially this update to the new version of Wirecast, let me know, and we'll talk about that as well over on Helpouts. I'll be available a little bit later on today. Thanks a lot for everybody who watched live on YouTube. We had a couple people. Thank you very much. And that's pretty much it for this week. We will see you next week when I'll talk more about technology and more, and we'll smack the geek out of you. So you guys take care, geek out, and have a good Thanksgiving. Eat a lot of turkey, play a lot of football, whatever you're going to do. Have a good turkey day. You guys take care. And that does it for the live version of Geek Smack. Thank you very much for checking it out. You guys have a safe one. We'll see you next week on Geek Smack. Take care.